It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
No fear! No fear, no fear, no fear! Who would be afraid of anyway? That's scarier than us. Oh, this free in mind thing. Boy, I tell you what, big bad boys, they don't like that none too much at all. Nope. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. And what juncture are we at? Yeah, we're at Ben Bernanke up there talking, so of course stock market goes down. But you know, it's just yada yada yada, more of the same. And just before I went on the air here, I went in and I was just want to check, CNBC and see what the market is and where it's at. And after Bernanke kind of, and it's a commercial. So I go to CNN. It's the exact same commercial at the exact same point. And then you go, same commercial. I go, they're blocking it. It's called a block, and they'll have the same commercial, and it's an AARP thing, retired citizen deal. And the one thing that, what's the market? Who are these people talking to? Who's even watching them? Who believes the crap that they're spewing? Senior citizens. You want to know who it is? Just look at the advertising. So I'm going, this generation is, and I think it's more difficult, for the talking heads to kind of maintain and corral and control. They got to know some, stuff's going on too. But what's the future? What's generation next paying attention to? Where is it? I tell you, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We have Adam Kokesh on. He's just separated from Russia Today and going on his own, taking Adam versus the man with him, and he's setting up shop in Arlington, near Washington, D.C., and going to have some fun. That show's going to start up in a little bit. We'll go ahead and talk to him about that. But the one thing that I want to go on about is take a look at this. For those on video, you can see he did a show on the D.C. protest, and it was as Obama supporters occupy D.C. So he said, I want to go down and see what these guys are all about, what they're thinking of, what they're saying. So he goes over there. Man, it's 209,000 downloads. I mean, boom. And it needed to happen because we know what's going on. This is all this is the left. The Tea Party, they got their Tea Party thing. Well, how do they get press and attention? The ideology really doesn't even, they'll worry about that stuff later. They'll tag it with a message later. What they'll do is they'll just go sit down in the middle of the street. They'll get a whole bunch of people go out and everybody, let's go and flash mob on Wall Street, and then we'll tell you what they want. Well, what they didn't anticipate is there's a lot of people, a lot of agorists, a lot of voluntarists, a lot of libertarians, a lot of anarchists, a lot of something are there going, this whole thing is just, seriously? We know what the problem is. Federal Reserve, that's what the problem is. So you have this ideology that's in competition for the spotlight on this. And fortunately, with the revolutionaries out there, they're going, you know what? We got to, go make sure people know at least that there are some people out here that understand what's really going on. So this weekend, Saturday, here in Phoenix, part of a national effort, Alex Jones is making, some noise about this and so on. Well, all the local guys are going to, there's a Federal Reserve depository of some type here in Central Phoenix. So they're going to go down there and chalk the Fed. Yeah, we already had some fun with Chalk the Police thing this last Saturday. So a week later, we're going to be chalking the Fed. So they'll have some fun with that. So now, Adam goes in and he wants to expose them for whatever that they were. And I'll introduce Adam here in a minute. But let's go ahead. I want you to see some of this segment that he has. Now, there was a young man that he's talking to, and it went like this.
Doug just said that he supports the use of force if it's what?
If it maximizes social justice, if it can improve the lot of everyone, if it can increase the standard of comfort among the people, if it can maximize freedom, the ability to live our lives, and it improves our well-being, then Yes, I believe there should be force.
Okay, now we could go on from there, and it gets to be, you need to go, you go to today's archive of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock on Freedom's Phoenix. Right now, you look in the archive pages, and you will see this video to watch. And I'm not going to spoil it for you because it just, Adam gave him what for, but I'm telling you. Adam, I got you there.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you find anybody that didn't have this this spiel, this mentality, this rhetoric?
Oh, yeah, I did. I found a number of people who weren't even willing to speak on camera, which is pretty pathetic for a demonstration. I went to a lot of anti-war protests, during the Bush administration years when people on the left still cared about peace. And you could go up to almost anybody there. I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying this. You could go up to almost anybody and say, why are you here? And they could say, because I want the wars to end and the wars are wrong. I mean, some form of that. They knew why they were there. It was pretty simple what they were calling for, what they wanted. But here with these Occupy events, it's really, there is a certain groundswell of angst behind them that is legitimate, that is truly grassroots, that is spontaneous. There is that element to it. But what's being called for by the people that are being swept up in that is being determined by leadership, corporate leadership, oddly enough, funded by George Soros. When you look at Adbusters, the Canadian magazine that kicked these protests off, really, and they're clearly being directed to that. And the majority of what you hear being called for is just, it's pathetic. It is so wrong intellectually. It is so wrong morally. It is so wrong in terms of actually addressing the legitimate problems and that have led to the legitimate angst that exists. But these are people who have no understanding of the nature of government or economics, by and large. There are a few, and people keep telling me, but Adam, there are libertarians there. There are, we should go down there and take charge and educate the protesters, take over. And I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's going to happen because the momentum behind these events, the bulk of the momentum at this point, and I really want to encourage libertarians who are at these events, and I've heard from a lot of them with frustrations with the emerging leadership and the way that they're being co-opted already. I want to encourage people to go down and talk to people. Do what I did in the video. Have those conversations. Educate people. Challenge people. Make them think. But don't join these protests. Don't join these demonstrations. These people are calling for an end to capitalism. It's not just Michael Moore. Michael Moore was cheered on by these crowds when he was saying we need an end to capitalism. The crowds in New York, at least. They don't understand economics. What they are calling for is, like the guy I interviewed for that video, Doug, they're calling for an opportunity to impose their ideas on the rest of society using the force of government, which is obviously, as you know, and I think most of your audience knows, morally wrong, a violation of the non-aggression principle. So I really think that you're not going to convince a significant portion of them of anything before they just get cold and go home or get confused by your facts and walk away, as you can also see in that video from the woman in the Harvard sweatshirt. But there's some effort to do like Occupy the Fed now, and libertarian have a libertarian element to these things. It's futile. That's not what these protests are. Don't misunderstand them. There is a certain beauty to this. I'll admit. There is a certain righteousness in coming out and protesting, and I do really respect people wanting to get involved, but I don't respect people saying I'm angry and I'm going to go express my anger in a way that's calling for a solution that I don't understand when I haven't done my homework yet. Like that, I don't respect. And if they're saying, like, if they were all out there saying, you know what, I'm really pissed because of all this, and we need to end the bailouts. We need to have the government stop empowering corporations this way. And it was like they're getting that element correct. That element that they're expressing there is morally sound and logically sound and economically sound, but it's only a minority of the overall calls that are coming out of these demonstrations, which are We need some form of socialism. We need an end to capitalism. We need micro bailouts. So they're against bailouts for corporations, but bailouts for individuals in the form of welfare or handouts or educational benefits or forgiveness of student debt, things like that. That's what they're calling for, and that's something else. So I just want to put that in perspective and tell all the libertarians out there, all the voluntarists who really believe in freedom and really understand economics, that this isn't our moment. It's not going to be. And my prediction is that this movement, and it is legitimately a movement, that it'll just peter out over the winter, or it will conveniently congeal into a call for a single demand that Obama can easily satisfy, so he can swoop in, save the day, and get these tax leeches back to shilling for his reelection campaign.
Well, I can tell you where this is going. I am of the opinion that somehow, some way, they're going to want to nationalize banking. And I'm looking at, or go to a single currency planetary, go to the worldo or whatever the heck. And I can see that there's dogpiling on Bank of America as if one individual bank is the problem and not the system. It's like, it's not the government's fault. The government's not doing enough. So you're right. I can see where this is going. But is there an opportunity, just like with the Tea Party, you have all these, because we were very happy to have Tea Party events where you had tens of thousands of people going, and we're going, you know what? How many DVDs can we make? How many videos can we do? How much swag can we pass out? How much, So now I see this Occupy Wall Street, this Occupy whatever. It's just a crowd of more minds for us to infect. So I'm going, go infect, man. Now, to try and bring it back to what the real source problem issues are and doing this chalk the Fed thing, okay, I always say yes to everything, but I think they should be informed, exactly as you're saying, what's really going on and the effort. And there's a lot of effort behind it, just as the RNC was behind the Tea Party Express. This is all Republican stuff, which is why we're doing, we're embracing the anarchist, the agorist, the voluntarist, a whateverist, leave me aloneist, in the Levolution, making sure that is also associated with people that just want to be left alone and not looking to rule over somebody. So we're working on that over the next month. But I got an idea, and I wanted to talk to you about this on the air. Right before I called, get you on the air, Nick?
Sure, but hold on, Ernie. Let me just say something, because I want to make sure I'm understanding you here, because I don't think libertarians should be going to these events trying to be publicly visible, like as in trying to have Ron Paul signs or big free market signs. If that's part of the educational thing, that's fine. I don't think it's good to really associate the message with these protests, because I know that they're not going to end well. They're not going to end well for liberty. But if you can go and infect the mind, not the events, don't even try to be a part of that message or their messaging, but just get into the minds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. Okay. It's like when we did the Tea Parties, there was never. I give you a perfect example: Searchlight, Harry Reid, south of Las Vegas, there, in Nevada. You had this big Tea Party. Here comes Sarah Palin. Here comes, Wayne Allen Root from the Libertarian. Here comes all this kind. And what do? We just went around, had our signs everywhere, and went and infected these guys, passed out a gazillion DVDs and whatnot, say, thanks for the crowd, we're done, and we leave. So, what kind of exposure are you going to get? Are you going to try and brand it yourself or give them legitimacy by participating in it? So I understand your concern. But these people are always uninformed, usually need to be told what to do, looking for the party because some Twitter said, and they go there and have absolutely no idea what's really going on. They're just repeating the rhetoric of and can't think more than, one layer deep.